Oh, people are already on. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Lynette. Hey, Avery. I see eyeballs. We'll get started in about 3 minutes. Happy Sunday. Who else is on this morning? Y'all come on in, get a cup of whatever you're drinking, or a glass. Howie. Always glad to have Howie on here. Y'all know, I talked about it one day last week. Thank you. I just got it. Thank you, Avery. It was so good. Hey, Janelle. Y'all know Howie's dad transitioned last week. His service is next week. And if you go to Howie's page and read the obituary, his dad was an incredible man. He and I have talked a couple times lately about how astounding it is that he did all that he did. He's blind virtually his whole life. And hey, Deanna, and man, it never stopped him. I mean, it's an incredibly inspirational story. And so, hey, Ed, if you get a chance to read that, sorry, I'm fixing my hair. Speaking peace to Howie's family, and gratitude for a life well lived. He fought a good fight, he kept the faith, and now he sees on the other side. Hey, Wellington, I miss you so much. Hey, Danny, Pastor Danny, always good to see you. Hey, Patty. Patty, I don't know how I found that. I was looking for something this week, and that a message you had sent me in 2017 somehow just now popped up. Elwood, good to see you. Hey, Rhonda. Oh, hey to Connecticut. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I don't know what I clicked on, but I didn't ignore you in 2017. I just never saw it. That's why I try to answer messages as soon as they come in, because by the next time I check, so many new ones are in, I forget. And I mean, my inbox is noisy. Hey, Trisha's on here. Trisha lost her sweet doggy, went to the Rainbow Bridge, and he was definitely a friend. So we're sending, oh, thanks, Howie. Howie put the link for his dad's obituary. But y'all send some peace to Trisha and her house, because I know that's a lot. And so Trisha, we're speaking peace to you, and gratitude for your dog's life. Oh, you're in Toronto? Wow, cool. Wellington, I miss you. This morning, Ken walked in here. He's out there about to mow the grass right now, but he said, I want to see some heads in here. I said, really? You want to have people over? And he said, yeah. I said, all right, we'll think about it. Wellington, I definitely will put you on the list. Always love having you in the audience. Who else is on? Hey, Beth, good to see you on here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, it's after 11. It's 11:12. All right, so we're officially started now. Welcome to Mobile Metron, coming to you live from the Metron Live studio in Smoke Rise, Georgia. And today is Sunday, April the 26th. And we've had just a wonderful weekend, and it's going to continue to be wonderful. We're leaving on a train tonight for New York. I'm going to see my friend Dominic, Hallie's friend too. We've known him since 1976. And please keep Dominic in your prayers. He's doing well, but he has prostate cancer, and it's one of the reasons I'm going up now to see him. And we believe he's going to come through the fire without the smell of smoke. And we're going to have a beautiful week. I'm looking forward to the train ride. We got a not a cabin, whatever they call it. We're sleeping on, like, it's got beds in it. It's got a bathroom. And so it's going to be a very good, relaxing trip. And like I said, I'm going to try to do one of these from the train and see how that goes. But the train, when we've done this before, we've done at least twice before. I know once we went to Washington, D.C., and once when we got married, we took the train up to New York. So at least 2 times. But before, it used to be hey, Sonia, it used to be that the Crescent Line goes every day from New Orleans to New York. And it used to come into Atlanta at 8 o'clock. So if you were going north, you would get on the train there, and it would, it goes up through Lynchburg and DC. And anyway, for whatever reason, they changed it now, and the train leaves at 11:30 now. So I was concerned about how we were going to get to the train station, because you're supposed to be there like around 10. And in the city, you get Uber in 2 minutes. Out here, it's a little more of an effort to find Uber drivers out this far. So I still have a car scheduled for tonight, but Christina's here. I didn't realize she came in for Jared's wedding last night, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I didn't realize she drove. She and Scott and Clementine drove here from Santa Fe, so she's got her car. So she's coming this afternoon to get some stuff that Mom left for her. And I asked her last night, I said, you want to come a little bit later and maybe you could take us to the Amtrak station? So she is. So that worked out really good. I've got the Uber still reserved just in case something happened, but because I don't want to, if you miss a flight, you can get on another one, but not with a train. It's just like, nope, we got to get on that one because I've already bought tickets to shows, and we're going to we're not going to be on The View. We're going to be in the View audience Tuesday. Train leaves 11:30 Sunday night and gets in New York about 6:30 Monday evening. And then we're going to have dinner with Dominic, and it's going to be a great week. While you're getting comfortable, let me remind you we've got Meditation Weekend number 29 coming up first weekend of August, and August 1st and 2nd. That's also, we're going to Tybee Island, right outside of historic Savannah. If you've never been there, you really ought to go. It's really cool. And it's also going to be Metron Community's 12th anniversary that weekend. We started Metron first weekend of August 2014. And man, I can't believe how time flies. But if you're interested in going, scroll up to my cover photo, and the information is all there in the copy. Okay? Let's have a moment of breath work while other people are logging on. I just lit these candles, so it smells wonderful in here. And my little studio is so cool. Look at this. I found this in the store. It's so cool. Making a little stone tower, it's something that is in a lot of different belief systems. You always see it associated with meditation, but also, they did that in the Old Covenant a lot. They would drop, make a little pillar of stones that marked a memorial place. So I found this the other day. I thought it was so cool. So I got my stones, I got my candles. So let's, we're gonna do some breathing. We're gonna go in through the nose and hold it. And by the way, when I do this, don't just sit there and look at me do it. you've got lungs. Hey, Stephanie. So join in with us. In through the nose and hold it, and then out through the mouth, okay? Let's go. In. And then out. Inhale. Exhale. Yes, let's all send some agreement down to South Georgia. They need some rain down there. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're here, Ed. Your weekend's about to get better. Hey, Claudia. Inhale. Exhale. In. Hey, Will. Out. Give me a couple more really good breaths. Hey, Lisa. Inhale. Exhale. Lisa, are those praying hands for rain in South Georgia? If they are, we agree with your prayer. Inhale. Exhale. Give me about 3 more good ones. In. Out. 1 more good one. Fill up your lungs. Hey, Beej. Good morning. Inhale. And then out. Beautiful. Let's make some affirmations. I am blessed. I am a blessing. I am. Good, Lisa, we agree with you. I am peaceful. I am peace. I am. I am free. I am freedom. I am. I am whole. I am wholeness. I am. I am well. I am wellness. Well, good. Safe trip to y'all in the car, Angela, you and Jen. I am. Yeah, don't. If you're driving and breathing, keep your eyes open. I've never said this one before, but it feels anointed. I am awesome. I am awesomeness. I am. I don't know, that just felt right. Okay, good. It's a good vibe this morning. And again, glad that you're all here. And I do have a good word for you. I speak in this atmosphere and say, let there be light. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 10. It's a very famous passage. It's part of Isaiah's prophecy to the nation about something they were going through. But he says this specific thing that always resonates with me. In the King James, he says, I'm the God who declares the end from the beginning. In the Amplified Classic, it says, declaring the end and the result from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure and purpose. Now, the idea of God declaring the end from the beginning speaks to sovereignty and that sort of thing. But then you've got all of these new age teachers and law of attraction people that say detach from outcomes and, you know, put your intention out there, but don't try to micromanage how it happens. How can both things be true? If God declares the end from the beginning, how can you detach from outcomes? And I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it's something that we have to live with every day, you might not know all the details of how a thing's going to work out, but you do need to say, like, you get a general idea of what you want to happen. Like, I want this thing to happen. It doesn't matter to me exactly how it happens. I'm going to declare the end from the beginning. Like even this morning, I don't think he'll mind me saying this. Ken was showing me pictures of his grandbaby, and he was just saying, I wish I could see him more. And, you know, he was saying, you know, he gets to see his other grandfather so much. I said, just remember, it's their first grandchild, so it's just different. But also, I said, you're going to have a relationship with him. Don't worry about that. Henry's going to be in your and our life, and everybody involved is going to get their head around that, and it's going to be fine. Now, how that's going to happen, I don't know. Hey, bro. So the idea of declaring the end from the beginning is not at odds with detaching from outcomes. It is a classic yes and instead of an either or. Now, having said that, let me tell you what happened last night. If you look at my page, you already know. My oldest son, Jared, got married last night, and it was great. It was beautiful. I love his new wife, Jamie. She seems perfect for them. They're leaving either today or tomorrow. Their honeymoon's going to be in Japan, and they're going to do one of these long pilgrimages where you walk from Shinto temple to temple, and you stay in homes of people. It's the kind of thing he would love to do, and she's the same type of person. Very outdoorsy. She's actually not a game warden, park ranger. It's where they got married last night, and you know, he and she waited later than most people do to get married, but there's a lot to be said for that. You know, some people get married too young, regret it, and so they entered in very soberly to this, and it turned out so great for a number of reasons, and I'm going to share with you why, and I'm going to be very careful not to overshare, but I also know that my anointing only works in transparency. So I'm constantly finding that balance. When my kids were little, especially Jonah would say, like, if he did something as a teenager that was funny, he would say, Dad, please don't let this end up in a sermon. And I would always say, look, back then, good Lord, I was preaching so much. I mean, we had 2 or 3 Sunday morning services. I did Wednesday night. I did a radio show every day. I was traveling and doing at least once a month, going somewhere else and speaking. I was doing overseas. I mean, there have been some weeks that I would speak 12, 13, 14, 15 times in one week, especially when I was doing things at a Bible school and that sort of thing. So I would tell him, I said, Jonah, I don't want to embarrass you, but I have to come up with a lot of content, and y'all live in my house. And if you do something that, I won't tell anything intentionally embarrassing, but if you do something that makes my point, you're fair game. I mean, you're going to end up being talked about. And it was funny. I love the comedian Leanne Morgan, and somebody was asking her in an interview, because she has built a career on talking about her children and telling embarrassing things about them when they were kids. And she said, several people have asked her in interviews, do your kids mind being talked about? And she said, when they were like in middle school, I was threatened. Like, I do not want to hear my name in your mouth. And she said it was a difficult time for me because I just lost all of my material. Because her whole thing was about raising kids, and she had them too fast, close together, and all of that. And so anyway, she said, I found a way around it and didn't talk about it. She says, now that they're adults, they're like, we don't care. You're making money, do it. And so she's back to just telling everything about them. And so the reason I want to tell you about last night and how it can relate to you. It was a classic example of declaring the end from the beginning and not knowing how it was going to work out. So here's what had happened. I'm super close to my children. I love them very much. I'm very grateful. A lot of men like me, especially in my age, don't even have children. And so I never take for granted that I have lived a very, eclectic life. And because of that, I have 4 children and 4 grandchildren, maybe having a 5th one. That's all I'll say about that. That could be not. And I'm super grateful for that. And I love all of my kids. And there's a saying that says if your kids grow up and become your friends, that's the ultimate wealth. And I agree with that. I think, my kids are my friends. For about 3 years, I had dinner with the boys every Wednesday night. And it's just gotten, ever since I moved in here and started taking care of Mom, it just got too difficult to keep that up. So we may start that back. I don't know. But anyway, I am very close to them, and they matter to me a lot. So when when was it? At my Uncle Don's funeral. Hey, Sarah. Good to see Wisconsin in the house. I had already met Jamie. What's his name? Jared brought her to our Easter service. So I had met her. And I think she was with us. We did Thanksgiving at Debbie's house, and she was there for that. And liked her a whole lot. And so at Dawn's funeral or celebration of life, they had a reception afterwards, and we had a whole table. It was Jared and Jamie and Judah, Ken, of course, and Jonah and Sophie. And again, most of you know this, but let me specify, because my granddaughter, Sophie, Sophie, is different from my daughter-in-law, Sophie, Sophie, is a different person from my granddaughter, Sophia, Sofia. And Sophia's here. You saw I picked her up from the airport Friday, I think. And she's amazing, and her 4.0 average, and she's in flight school, and she's gonna be a pilot. She's flying all the time and is working, and she's amazing, and is a feminist, and is super progressive and crazy smart, and I just love her so much. Olivia's equally amazing. She's like an incredible artist and makes all these. It's like real. I don't know how to explain it. Like she's going to do very, very well. She's in like a special art school and makes great grades. And my granddaughters are exceptional. But anyway, at Dawn's reception, Jared said, "I need to tell you something." I said, "What?" He said, "We're getting married." I said, "Oh, wow, that's great." And so somehow in the conversation, he said, "And we want you to marry us." I said, I'd be honored. When Christina and Dyson got married, I married them, and I married Jonah and Sophie. And I don't ever expect to be asked, but it's a huge honor. And so I was really looking forward to that, really happy about it. And even we had a conversation, because he said, "I don't even know where we're going to get married." And I don't know if he would remember this, but I suggested to him, I said, "What about where she works? Isn't there like an outdoor place where you could do a wedding there?" And that is where they got married last night, and it was perfect. It was beautiful. So So that's great. And I was looking forward to it. And then somewhere around that time, 2 weeks after, Don is my mom's twin brother. 2 weeks after he died, that's when Mom fell and broke her pelvis. And I knew that their passing was going to be close together. I just knew it. I knew they came in together, sort of fought with each other the whole time they were here, and left together. I just knew that's what was going to happen. When I say fought, it was lovingly, but they could not have been more different. Not just that they were male and female twins, but theologically, politically, their taste in music, other than a love for animals, there was absolutely no similarity between them. But they loved each other, and part of the reason I live here is because Dad bought this house after I left Covington. Mom and Dad had a house on our property in Covington, but after I left there, they knew I wasn't going to be back. He bought this house, and he bought it because it was technically across the street from where Don and Clarice live. I know most of y'all know that, but I need to, for people that don't know who I'm talking about. So after Mom fell, for about a month and a half there, she was in the hospital, in a facility, back in the hospital. One day they, when she was in the facility where she ultimately left from, they found her. She'd gotten out of the bed and fallen and was unresponsive. And then she got COVID, and it was just, I can't even remember all the details. I just remember it was weeks and weeks and weeks of bedside vigils and, can't come in the room because of COVID. And it was a lot. And so she ended up going back to the facility, and that's where she left from. So during all that time, I was, saying a lot of stuff, posting a lot of stuff. Even before that, I had posted some things that, I never ever meant to disrespect either of my parents. But with Mom, before she left the house, she was getting to where she would call people on the phone all night long. And I had to say something about it, because people would call me in the morning and say, hey, your mom called me at 3 a.m. this morning, and she was alone and disoriented, didn't know where she was. And so I would say, no, we're here. She just forgets that we're here, and she's not by herself. If she calls you at night, just don't answer the phone. It's not an emergency. I mean, she's not alone at all. We're right up. I'm just, in the room right above her, and constantly checking on her. So I had to post something about it. And, your kids have a certain, I don't want to say mythology, but there's a way. I was that way with my grandparents. There's a way you feel about your grandparents that's even different from the way under usual circumstances, even the way you feel about your parents is different. And I remember, if my mom ever said anything about my grandmother, I'd be super defensive. Like, don't you say anything about grandma. It's just the nature of generations. So there was a little window of time where, and I'm not faulting them for it. It was out of their own protection for their grandmother who was dying. My kids took issue with some things that I said and posted. And I had my hands full so much with taking care of her, because I'm, unless Ken's home from work, it's totally me by myself. Nobody to help me with her at all. Nobody available. And, when Ken is here, he would help, but he works all the time. So, it was a lot, and I was sleep deprived, and I was stressed out. And, so somehow there was a little window of time in there, And I'm not exactly sure when it happened, and it doesn't even matter now because everything has ended up so well. But somehow in the middle there, and Judah somehow has just always been a natural mediator. So he's sending messages from me to his siblings back and forth. And somehow through all of it, through my stress and their grief, we hit possibly the worst snag we've ever hit in their adult life. And because they're all mature, they came to Mom's funeral and all four of them spoke, and I was super proud of them. But we were not in a good place. And every time I would try to fix it, I ended up making it worse. And, I said some things about them that got back to them. And it's one of the situations where everybody's right and everybody's wrong. So somehow, in the middle of all that, I'm having a conversation. Well, exactly, Cheryl. I'm having a conversation with... it's not all a curse. I wouldn't say the curse. It's the challenge, because I don't think I'm cursed, but it definitely can be a challenge. It's not now that I don't have anybody to argue with over who left what, whoever, because it all went to me. So there's that. And so in the conversation with Judah, he said something about Jared's wedding. And I said, I don't even know a date. When are they getting married? And somehow Jared had asked Judah to marry him. And I wasn't even sure, oh, wow, he's really upset with me more than I realized. And I don't even know when is their wedding. I haven't even gotten an invitation or anything. The last I had talked to Jared is right before Mom had to go back to the hospital. We were supposed to go to their house for dinner, and we were going to plan all the stuff with the wedding. And then when I had to take her to the emergency room, we just never picked back up on it. It might not have even been because he was upset with me. I think it's just everybody was dealing with their own stuff, and just stuff didn't get handled the way maybe I thought it should have been. So I told Judah, I said, we're planning to be in New York. I've already bought tickets for stuff. I didn't even know. I said, where's the invitation? I don't even know. And couldn't find it online. I thought, well, maybe I'm not even invited. Good Lord. So I said, I don't want to make his special day negative. I mean, I guess we'll just go to New York. I mean, because maybe he doesn't want me there. Again, that might not even be the case. That's what it was looking like to me. So fast forward a few days, Jared actually came to the facility where Mom was, maybe a couple of days before she passed. And so we're just sitting there in silence. And I said, we're going to have to address the elephant in the room. I said, whatever you heard that I said about y'all, I'm just, I didn't mean it. And I'm not sure why I'm not marrying you now, but, I was really honored. And he just said, this isn't the time to discuss it. I said, all right, fair enough. But I'm just telling you, I didn't mean for it to get out of hand like this. So anyway, all good. And since then, I mean, if he had told me from the outset that his brother was going to marry him, I would have never given it another thought. I would have been like, yeah, that's great. I love that. It's just that wasn't the original plan. And maybe I'm reading more into it. It could be. So, fast forward, we got everybody, I was communicating with everybody again and telling them, I love you, and I've sent them money, and I've done, at a certain point you think, well, I've done everything I know to do to try to remedy this situation. It is what it is. And I was kind of nervous about go into his wedding because I didn't want there to be any drama. I want there to be like that to be a happy day. And I can remember, and let me just say this, I'm not dissing my dad. I ain't mad at my dad right now. My dad left me, he left me in a very good position with this house and with money that was left to me. So he took care of business. But I also know what it was like to have him at events that he wasn't really into or disapproved of what was happening. And I could feel and I knew him so well. I could, it would stress me out. Hey, Jeffrey. And I didn't want to do that to Judah. I wanted Judah to do well. And I want to be like a happy father of the groom. So, I just thought, you know what? I'm going to declare the end from the beginning. I don't know. This thing's it's going to be fine. And it was last night, and it was so more than fine. Let me just tell you all that happened. Beautiful wedding. Nobody was weird with each other. People were there I hadn't seen in years, like my ex-brothers-in-law, not Debbie's brothers, but Terry's brother and brother-in-law. I hadn't seen him in so many years, nearly 40 years, I guess. No, couldn't be 40, at least 30. I was calling him the wrong name. I didn't even, I was calling Mike Barry or Barry Mike. And anyway, but everybody was super nice and happy to see each other, and nobody was weird about taking pictures. I asked Jared and Christina's mom, I said, can we get a picture, the four of us? She said, oh, yeah, no problem, which, kind of unusual for her. I showed it to her. I said, are you cool with that? She said, yeah, it looks great. I'm like, okay, great. I asked Debbie, I said, can I get a picture with you and the boys? Like, yep, great. No problem. So I'm like, you know what? Everything's fine. Well, then we get to the wedding part, and Judah slammed. He did such a great job. I was so proud of him. I mean, I'm sitting there with my ex-brother-in-law, and he's trying. It's one of those like, well, what have you been doing the last 30 years? Well, a lot. And he said, who's that marrying them? I said, that's my son Judah. He said, that's your son? I said, yeah, that's Judah, and that guy over there in the red pants, that's Jonah. And he said, oh, I guess they do know each other. I said, yeah, they grew up together. That's his brother. And he said, well, he looks amazing. I said, yeah, he looks great. He said, he's doing a great job. I said, yes, he is. He said, what does he do? I said, he pastors a church not far from where my church was in Conyers. He's like, man, this is incredible to have your son marry your son, in this setting. I said, I know, it's great. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? This happened exactly as it should have. And even the fact that at the reception, Christina and Jonah are both DJs, and they both took turns DJing, and then Judah married them. And I said, you know what? This was exactly how it was supposed to happen. But when we got in the car last night to drive there, I said to Ken, I said, I'm just going to say this to you out loud. I'm going to go tonight, no matter how anybody is to me, because it's the first time I've seen them since, and we've never really talked about anything, because at the funeral, we just, had to deal with that. I said, I'm not going to be passive aggressive with anybody. I'm going to be happy to see everybody. I'm going to be easygoing, and I want Judah to do well. Hey, Brenda, I want Judah to do well. I said, but I'm just going to say this one time, and if it doesn't happen, I'll be fine. But I would love for Jared just to ask me to pray or pronounce a blessing over them or something. If he doesn't, it's fine. If he doesn't speak to me, I'll take the high road. But I would just like for that to happen. And that's all I'm going to say. I will not mention it again. So we get to the wedding, and when we get back up to where the reception is, Jared comes over to me and he says, hey, would you sort of propose a toast and bless the food and pronounce a blessing over us? And I said, yeah, I can do that. That's why my cover photo is that, because that was just a simple thing that I asked for. I was declaring the end from the beginning. Well, the rest of the evening turned out so great. it was just, it was healing on so many levels. And I was so happy with the way it turned out and proud of my family. And many of you have heard me tell this. There's no way to count how many times I've told this anecdote. And the reason I tell it so much is when I meet someone who doesn't know, like, why are you married to a man but you have kids? Well, you know, they don't want to be rude, but they want to ask. That, you know, they're curious about the logistics. So I always, I've been doing this for 13 years. I've been telling this. I looked at Ken's face when I was telling it last night. I thought, good Lord, how many times have you heard me tell this? But it's an easy way for me to explain the trajectory of my life. When my granddaughter Olivia was 3, most of y'all have heard this, her favorite color is yellow, and she wanted to have a yellow party, and everybody came. It was the first time after Ken and I got together that everybody had been together. Jared and Christina's mom was there. Judah and Jonah's mom was there. My parents were there. Ernie and Avery were there. You know, it was just a wonderful, like, nobody, there was no drama. For a minute, I kind of felt like, did I just die and go to heaven? Because this is kind of what I think heaven's going to be like. Like, even night before last on TCM, they replayed Places in the Heart with Sally Field. It's one of my favorite movies. And at the end of it, when they're all taking communion together, and even her husband who had been shot by the young guy, they're all taking communion there together. And it's just, to me, it's just a perfect cinematic expression of ultimate reconciliation, how everything ultimately gets worked out with people. And I was sitting there sobbing, watching it again, and Ken was crying. And so I've told that story a bazillion times. It's my way of saying, let me explain to you why I have 4 children and who they are. So the babysitter, so what happened at this Olivia's 3rd birthday party? The babysitter, she's a friend of Christina's, and her name is Q, like James Bond. That's her name. So 13 years ago, Q comes up to me and she says, excuse me, can you explain to me who everybody is here? She said, I can't figure it out. I said, okay. I said, that woman over there, I was married to her, and she and I have 2 children together. That's those 2 people. And then I was married to that woman, and she and I have those 2 children together. And let me give this disclaimer to Debbie, because she has brought this up before when she's heard me say it. Debbie and I were married a lot longer than Terry and I were. Debbie and I were married 22 years. Terry and I were married 5. And, you know, I've maintained much more of a relationship with Debbie after divorce than I did with Terry. Terry, she lives far away, and she was married a couple of times after me, and now the guy she's married to, they've been together, gosh, probably 20 years, and she found the right guy, and he's a nice guy, and I've met him several times over the years. And but I did have 2 children with her. So I said, I was married to her, and we have those 2 children. Then I was married to her, and we have those 2 children, and now I'm married to that man. And Q looked at me, she said, what kind of man are you? I said, well, that's a good question. I've told it a million times. It always gets a laugh, and it also explains what my life has been like for the last 30, 40 years. Last night, let me tell you what happened. We're sitting there at the table eating. They had Korean barbecue, and it was delicious. And so Scott, who is Christina's boyfriend, partner, they own a business together, and he's a good guy. Some of you met him when he came to Metron. I asked him, I said, where are y'all staying? He said, we're staying at Q's house. I said, oh, wow, okay, tell her I said, hey. So then this older couple comes up to me and starts talking. Come to find out, it's the man is Jamie's mother's brother. And he said, I just have to tell you, he said, was that your son that did the wedding? And I said, yeah. He said, that's the best wedding I've ever been to. He said, that's incredible how well he did. And he said, you must be really proud to see your son marrying your other son. And I said, yeah, it was great. Totally. So his wife starts talking to me and she said, explain to me. It was just like exactly what happened 13 years ago. She said, explain to me do they have the same mother? I said, no. And at that time, Terry and her husband, Andy, had already left and Debbie had just left. So, but I had taken pictures. I said, no, they actually were sitting, the mothers of all my children were sitting at the same table, like opposite ends of the table, but they were both there. So I showed her a picture that I took of Terry and Jared and Christina and me. And she said, oh, okay, that was their mother. That was Jared's mother. I said, yes. She's okay. I couldn't figure out who the mother of the groom was. I said, that's her. And then I was married. So I showed her a picture of Debbie and me and the boys that I had just taken. I said, that's Judah's mother. So Jared and Judah are like half brothers. She said, oh, okay, wow. And so she's just still standing there looking at me. Now, before she starts this, she's telling me, she asked what Judah does, and I told him, and she says, I was raised Pentecostal. I said, I was too. So we're having that conversation. So in the conversation, I said, and by the way, I'm married to him now. Ken was sitting right there. And it's not like she acted all that shocked. She just said, oh, okay. She says, well, are you happy? And I said, yes, I'm very happy. I am a very happy man. And it was such a sort of a bookend to that thing that Q had said 13 years ago. And I swear, as God is my witness, as I said it, Sophia and Olivia are dancing together, my granddaughters. And they passed me and I look and Olivia's wearing a yellow dress. And I thought, wow, these 13 years, Ken and I have been together 14, but these 13 years, I'm really blessed. It's like everybody, like I hugged Terry last night and I said, our baby got married and it was good. There was nobody was weird with each other. And we hadn't seen each other since both our moms had died. So we talked about that. And I was telling her some things I remembered about her mother, who had been my mother-in-law at one time, who she and I have the same birthday. And she was telling me things that she remembered about my mom. And it was just like a really nice little conversation. Debbie and I talk a lot more. So, we always have a nice conversation. And I'd already talked to her about a couple of things. And I'm looking around and, there's... After Terry married me, she had another daughter with the man she was married to then. And she's Judah's age. And she was there. She came in from Colorado. Her name's Haley. And I'm sitting there, Haley's talking to Debbie. And it's all these people. Exactly, Leslie. Exactly. It's like all these people from my life are all there. And everybody's good with each other. And everybody's at peace with each other. And I'm not only okay with my kids, I'm like, this was so the right thing. Judah totally should have married him. This exactly worked out exactly as it was supposed to. And it was, I'm telling you, it was just like one of the best nights of my life. And I talked to Jared for a minute. I said, Jared, are we good now? He said, oh yeah, we're totally good. And I knew he meant it. And I can't tell you how deeply it healed me. And to your point, Leslie, about heaven as a place on earth, it's interesting you brought that up, because today, when I was getting ready, this Matthew Knott shared something that Logan Barone had posted. And that guy's really good. I've used his stuff in my teaching before. You can find him on Facebook. But he posted this. It was so powerful. It's got like Jesus sitting in a lotus position. If you can see that. And he's got the tree of life on him. Thank you, Ro. I'm glad that translated, because that's what I wanted everybody to see. And this is what it says with that picture. You weren't kicked out of paradise. Exactly, Ed. Exactly. It was like, this is your life, and it's all good, and nobody's mad at you. Nobody that you've been married to is like, they're all, I'm looking at Debbie hugging Ken, saying how much I love you so much. And it was just amazing. I'm like, my God. I mean, Kelly Varner was right. I'm doing something nobody's ever done before, I think. So here's what it says. You weren't kicked out of paradise. You tuned out of it. Heaven didn't close its gates. You closed your perception. The fall was not a punishment. It was a descent into density, a collapse of vibration. And every time you choose judgment over presence, fear over love, control over surrender, you reinforce the frequency of separation. Before I read the rest of this, I'm going to tell you this one thing that this woman asked me. Because when she said, are you happy? I said, yeah. Thank you, Lynette. And Lynette, no, I was thinking somebody else. But yes, we do have a modern family. What I was going to say, I was thinking Valine was on here. Valine was at that party too years ago, and she's the one that took Mom's remaining poodle for me. And so anyway, I have so many full circle moments in my life. It's like circle upon circle upon circle. But I'm going to read this, but I don't want to forget this. She was not judgmental, but I could tell she wanted to talk about it. And she said, I've got a friend, it's a friend of mine, is a woman who is married to a woman. And she was saying, I've learned so much because of, them and my closeness to them. And I see how real their relationship is. She said, did you always know you were gay? I said, yeah. In the world, I said, if you were raised Pentecostal, there's no way that would have even been a possibility to have told the truth about yourself. But I said, this is the way I explain it. I said, I'm not only left-handed, I'm very left-handed. I'm left-handed and right-brained. I mean, if I ever have to write with my right hand, it literally makes me nauseous. I'm so wired toward being left-handed. But a couple of years ago, I had a shoulder replacement, and I had no choice. I had to use my right hand, and even painted a painting with my right hand. Eddie's daughter bought it for me. But I said the whole time I was writing with my right hand, I was still left-handed. If I had never written with my left hand again, I would still be left-handed because that's how I'm wired. So I have no regrets about my previous marriages. They're wonderful women, especially Debbie, because I did have she helped me build the ministry. And we had more years together. But I said, I always, whoever you are, you come into the world that way. And I always knew who I was. I always knew I was anointed, and I always knew I was gay. And those were two completely incompatible things until 2010. And this year marks the 16th anniversary of that. So let me read this. And she got that. She's like, I could tell she wanted to keep talking. I said, I love talking to you, but they just cut the cake, and I'm gonna go get a piece of cake. And so here it says, you weren't kicked out of paradise, you tuned out of it. Heaven didn't close its gate, you closed your perception. The fall was not a punishment, it was a descent into density, a collapse of vibration. And every time you choose judgment over presence, fear over love, control over surrender, you reinforce the frequency of separation. But heaven never left. It's encoded in the now. It breathes in the stillness. It breathes in the stillness between thoughts, hums in the silence before action. Yeshua didn't say heaven awaits. He said heaven is within you. That wasn't poetry. That was physics. When you vibrate in coherence with truth, the veil thins, the gates open, the garden returns. You don't go to heaven, you remember it. Now, I've taught that before. Even when we built the big building at Church in the Now, the glass and the doors had crosses coming down, not technically upside down, but they had arrows pointing down. And the point of that was to say, we're not going to heaven. Yeah, exactly it. We're not trying to get to heaven. We're from heaven. So I've been saying that for years, but I love the way he said that. And last night, I thought, no wonder Jacob woke up and said, oh, how awesome is this place? The Lord's been here all along. I didn't make mistakes in my life. I didn't ruin anybody's life. I wasn't trying to live on the down low. I didn't get married because I was looking for a beard. I was trying to be someone that I never was and never will be. And just looking, if you go back to it took me a while to get it in sequence, the photo album, but it shows, there's a picture of Terry and me with our kids, and then Debbie and me and our kids, and there's a picture of Ken, and that's there intentionally to say, all's well that ends well, and I declare the end from the beginning, and I haven't made mistakes. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I will even go so far as to say this, and if my kids are watching this, y'all, please don't get mad at me. I just have to say this. Jared and Judah have had some challenges in their relationship. They just have. They get past it, but they've had some snags. And, Jonah lived with Jared for a while. And so they got super bonded, and they're both in a very similar music industry. So they know a lot of the same people, and Judah's doing ministry. So he just automatically gets left out of a lot of stuff that they do. They're not trying to be intentionally exclusive of him. They just know a lot of the same people. And he's talked to me about it. And I'm like, you've got to figure that out. I can't referee your brothers. Y'all are all grown men. And when Judah told me that he was going to marry Jared, later I thought about it. I thought, you know what? This could be a really healing thing for their relationship. And it was. And I said that to both of them last night, and they agreed. And even Jared said, yeah, Judah and I have done stuff together lately, and we've really bonded more. And I was like, you know what? This totally happened exactly like it was supposed to. And I'm so good with it. And I'm so happy. Thank you for remembering that. Thank you. That was for Howie and Leslie. Thank you. Yes, I suppose I've raised a little hell. But I look back now and I think, some of you might remember I did a series about, I don't necessarily think the Garden of Eden story was literal. I think it's an allegory. But in the 6 days of creation, on the seventh day, God looks back over his creation and says, it's good. And I felt like last night was a Sabbath for me. I felt like I looked at the reason all these people know each other is not Jared and Jamie. I didn't introduce them, but all these other people are here because I'm the common denominator. I'm his dad, his dad, his dad, her dad, her ex-husband, his husband. And I'm the linchpin. And I looked at all of it last night and I thought, it's good. Everything I created and that they helped create too. I'm not saying it was all me. Please don't read more into what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say I'm the center of the universe. I'm saying I'm the connective tissue with a lot of people there. And I looked at it and I thought, it's all good. No, and that's why, thank you, Tricia. I appreciate that. That's why 13 years ago when Q said that to me, she said, what kind of man are you? Last night, when Jamie's aunt, when I told her the same thing, she said, are you happy? And from the depths of my soul, I said, you have no idea how happy I am. And last night I drove away from there just thinking, you know what? I should never complain about anything for the rest of my life, because I have just had a wonderful, wonderful life, and there's been a lot of turbulence in it, but it's all okay. And the reason I'm saying all that to make it into a word for you is this. You've got things in your life. You don't know how they're going to work out. And the things, I'm talking to you, some of the things that have been painful, it's easy for you to blame yourself and say, it's my fault, I should have done this differently. It's probably karma, and I'm reaping what I sowed. And oh, thank you, Lynette. And you don't know how it's going to happen. I can't tell you it's going to happen. I remember Kim Clements saying to me one time, he said, what people don't understand about prophecy is it's just a word from the Lord. It's not a sentence from the Lord. It's not a paragraph. It's just a word. All you have is a word. And you have to fill in the blanks on that. And so there are people listening to me right now. You don't know how a thing is going to work out in your life. I didn't know how last night was going to work out. I just decided I'm going to go. I'm going to show up. I'm going to have a great attitude. I'm going to celebrate my son getting married. And the rest of it doesn't matter. And if Jared hadn't asked me to do a blessing, I wouldn't have even, I told Ken, I said, I'm going to say this one time and I'm not going to bring it up again if he doesn't do it. But he did. And even when Jamie's dad, as the father of the bride, he got up and said some stuff, and he was so, her parents are adorable, super sweet. She looks just like both of them. And he just went on and on about Jared, and he said, and I also have to say, a shout out to Reverend Swilley for the stuff that you said over them. He said, that was really profound. And I was like, okay, life's really good. I didn't need all of that, but thank you. Thank you, God, universe, angels, ancestors, all of the above. When you get into splitting hairs over is God a he, is God a she, is God an it, you're so lowballing it. God is such a bigger concept. If you get upset when somebody says the universe, you're being immature. It's all of that. It's when the voice spoke to Moses and said, "You tell him the I am sent you." The I am is everything. It's not a gender. It's not a nationality. That's why these Christian nationalists are so the antithesis of who God is. God's not white. God's not a man. God's bigger than all. God's all of that and none of that. Thank you, Beth. That is the way I felt. I've called myself George Bailey several times yesterday. And, but this isn't just about me. This is, to you. If you don't know how it's going to work out, still declare the end from the beginning, show up, be yourself, stay grateful, and the thing will work out. I'm telling you, the thing will work out. Even with the trip we had planned to New York, which I thought, I guess I may have to miss his wedding, and maybe that's what he wants. But I don't have to. All I have to do is push it back one day, which turns out even better. And it just couldn't be better. You know, Psalm 138:8 says the Lord will perfect that which concerns you. And even the mistakes that you've made, all of them will work together for your good. You're wasting your time blaming yourself for stuff that you think you messed up. It doesn't matter. God will even use your mistakes. All of it will work out. All of it, like all things work together for good. That means all of your heartache, all of your rejection, all of the things that you miss, all of your embarrassments, all of your shame, all of it, 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 all works together for good. There's nothing you have to regret. It's all working together. You just keep declaring the end from the beginning. And when something looks like it's not going to work out, you have to say, well, this one will have to be, I'm going to do everything I can on my part, but a lot of this is going to be more than I can ask or think. What is he does more than you can ask or think according to the power that works in you. What is the power that works in you? It's believing that it's going to work out. That's the most powerful thing you can do, is believe that it will work out. That's it? Yes, that's it. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's going to work out. And what if I had just let myself get petty and think, you know what? Fine. I'm going to go to New York anyway. Have your wedding. I would have been so miserable today. It would have been heartbreaking. And yes, Larry, it is the sovereignty of God, and it's also us cooperating with our sovereignty. It's God and us together declaring the end from the beginning. And it's like, I've used this metaphor before. It's like a dance. Sometimes God leads, sometimes you lead. And when there's times when the higher power is being silent, then you know, well, I'm going to have to take some initiative. And then and make some stuff happen. And then when you hit the wall, you have to say, all right, well, I don't know how the rest of this is going to play out, but it's going to. And last night could not have been better. I didn't get in that car and think, well, so-and-so didn't speak to me. Like, there was none of that. Everybody was like genuinely happy to see each other. Everybody was genuinely fine with one another. Everyone was totally happy for Jared and Jamie. It was beautiful. And this is a son who, a few years ago, I wasn't even sure if he was still going to be alive. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. He's battled with addiction for years, but he's been sober for years now. And to see him so happy and fulfilled, it's like, oh, wow, this is so much better than just a happy ending. This is declaring the end from the beginning. And baby, let me tell you something. God doesn't love me any more than he loves you. Look at me. Your thing's going to work out. You hear me? Just keep showing up. Keep being yourself. Keep being grateful. Keep refusing to overthink it. And just say, it's just got to work out. It's just going to have to work out. I don't know how it's going to, but it's just going to. And it will. Okay. There's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'll go read the rest of your comments. Leslie, I saw you posted something. You must be on my story up there. This feeds into the story that's on for 24 hours. Let me know if this resonated with you. If you want to support Metron community, go to BishInTheNow.com. Super easy to do that. You can get your tax credit for that. If you want to get to me personally, I have all of the cash apps. So you're blessed. I don't even have to pronounce a blessing on you. You already are blessed. All right. And, yeah, it was wonderful, Christy. It was joy unspeakable. Now that I've said it, go back and look at the pictures, and I'd be curious to see your comments on them. All right, you're gonna have a wonderful day, and next time you hear from me, I'll be in the Big Apple. So I'm sure I'll drag you all along on our trip, as I always do. All right, peace.